on behalf of the Federation of Thai Industries to share with you the topic of Thailand rubber industry outlook and challenge. There are a couple of things that I will show you as far as the statistics are concerned, as well as the outlook and challenge, particularly for the rubber product industry. Okay, so some background of FTI, the Federation of Thai Industries. In Thai, we call Sapa Usahakam. Okay, so basically we are consisted of 45 industrial groups, and there are 18 work groups for industrial topics that are important, 74 provincial chapters, and some affiliated institutes. And the FTI serves the government in terms of following up developments of government regulations and policy, coordinating among members with relevant government and non-government agency, advocating towards the best interests of the industry and stakeholders. The last one, we hold this dearly because we think we are the coordination for the government and the rubber industry. I mean, 45 industries, and rubber is just one of the 45 industries. Yes. Okay. All right. Basically, back to the basic. Before we have rubber product, we have to look at the rubber raw material in Thailand. And as far as the rubber plantation is concerned, the supply side, we have 3.6 hectare of land, and Indonesia has 20, and China has 7.1, and Malaysia 6, right? So basically, Thailand is the world's largest producer of natural rubber at 4.4 million metric ton per year as of last year. And number 2 is Indonesia at about 3 million metric ton as far as the natural rubber is concerned. And number 3, surpassing Malaysia recently, that is Vietnam, now becoming number 3 at about 1 million metric ton per year. Okay, so if you look at the natural rubber supply side, there is a shift between the world's biggest producers, and that means Vietnam is coming up. All right. Now, let's look at some of the rubber product items that consumes a lot of rubber, natural rubber. Okay, in metric ton, tire is always at the top of the rubber product. We can see that out of the 4 million ton that I talked about earlier, about almost 300,000 metric tons are used in the tire production, right? And the other thing is coming up also the thread that you find in your garments, the elastic thread, right? Which is ranking number 2 also, coming up from 3 or 4 in previous years. And the statistics for 2016 and 2016, 2017 are basically the same figure, right? And thread, gloves, motorcycle tire, rubber band, and so on. Okay, the production here that we talked about 4.4 million ton, and that means Thailand use about 13% of its natural rubber production, and we export the rest, 87%, as raw material. All right. Now, import. Also, we do a lot of import as well. This is in terms of baht. Okay. About 11,000 million baht. That means 11 billion baht, right? Also in tires. So you can see that tire is on the top of the list as far as consumption is concerned, and as well as importing of the product is concerned. Okay. Right. Okay, so when we look at the rubber product industry, and we want to try to predict or forecast the trend of the industry for rubber product, I have to say that we have to look at the vehicle sales, right? Because as you see, tires are an important part of vehicles, and vehicle sales is always the driving factor for the rubber consumption. And we can see that there are consistent growth of vehicle production in the world, leading by China, USA, Japan, Germany, South Korea, India, and in this case, Thailand is around number 14 since 2011, right? And the whole year, the world has seen a total production of about 80 million units of vehicles in 2011. But as of now, it has become 90 million units of vehicles recently. And the figure for each country has been expanding. But notably for China, it has been exponential. There is an exponential growth. As we can see on the next slide that I focus on recent years for also the top producers of vehicle, we can see that China is at 28 million units, and last year has decreased a little bit to 24 million, but the total world production is about 90 million units. Okay, Thailand from number 14 is up to rankings to number 12, and what this suggests is the rubber production for tires in Thailand has been continuing in the growth stage, okay? And we will continue to see this growth for quite some time, at least in the next few years, all right? Okay. All right, okay. The last two slides will be focusing on the outlook and challenges. Okay, I will go one by one as far as the current outlook is concerned. As I said, the world's biggest producer in summary, 14% domestically used, and remaining is exported as raw material, all right? And many rubber products are price controlled by the government. This is the fact that you may not be aware of right now, particularly if you are from foreign countries and you are willing to open up the market for rubber products. The first thing that you have to know as far as the regulations are concerned is whether your rubber products are regulated for price. Okay, the Ministry of Commerce is the regulator in this sense. And for example, tires for truck and also for pickup truck and also motorcycle tires of some sizes, some common sizes, right? A few sizes per each type are being regulated for price. So whenever you want to change your price in the market, you have to apply for it at the Ministry of Commerce. The failure to do that will have some legal consequence if they know. Okay, so better do it without that knowledge or play safe by doing it the right way, right? I'm just teasing. You have to do it. It's the regulation. Okay. And when you apply for price change, most of the time the answer is no in Thailand. So, but you have to do workaround by perhaps making up a new model number, changing the product line, sort of that, and you change your product items and then you set your new price. However, you have to give them some details of your pricing whenever you set a new product. All right. So this is something that you have to keep in mind if you are from foreign country. And rubber is not only the products that is controlled by this price control scheme. There are about more than 100 consumer items that are under this, including something like eggs and vehicles as well. I mean, the vehicle, the whole car is also price controlled. So whenever you want to change the price, you have to be careful. Thailand is no longer a low-cost country. Minimum wage rose 35% around 39.5% on April the 1st of 2012, right? And it became $10 per day. But this year, it is about maybe $11 per day. Okay, so this is the minimum wage, and I trust that most of the manufacturers in the rubber industry are paying higher than this because of the labor shortage. And on this ground, we have seen some trends regarding automation, right? Smarter machines, smarter process control, or some new investment in the Industry 4.0 aspect has been implemented recently. So in this sense, there is a very good chance of market potential for machineries and automation system for the rubber industry. Also applicable to other industries as well, because we are in big shortage of labor. All right, and before this, what we have been trying to alleviate the problem of labor shortages, we import some foreign labor from neighboring countries to Thailand, right? But now, as you can see, neighboring countries, they also are developing their industries. They are trying to expand their industrial base at home also. So there are job openings back home for these foreign workers as well. And the other thing is, Thailand's government has been tightening up on the foreign labor regulations, right? And this has become serious because normally in the past, the government was kind of closing one eyes and let the foreign laborers coming in so easily and needs no registration. The registration is a must, but it has been rarely enforced, right? Until recently, the government is trying to crack down on illegal employment for foreign workers, and the deadline is the end of this month. Okay, so if you are operating in Thailand and you are using foreign labor and you don't know about this, please make sure that you consult with your lawyers about this. So at the end of this month, there will be some tightening up of this regulation. So what does that mean? That means we will suffer even more labor shortage, all right? And even if you can find one, the wages will not be the same. It's going to be higher and higher from now on, all right? So that can be expected. Next, Thailand is net exporter. About 50 to 70% of rubber products are exported. Rubber products that are made in Thailand in any factory, most of the factory export their product up to 50 to 70%. So what's the implication of this? The outlook is Thailand's industrial success or development depends on the global economy, right? So you have to keep a good eye on the global economic trend, right? Particularly for tires, because it's ranked in the top, right? So tires are used in both developed and developing countries, right? So if you, on the one hand, see some economic slowdown in the US, in Europe, or perhaps in Japan for a long time, you can be so sure that the consumption of rubber tires are not so growing, right? And it can affect this portion of export market. And that force the manufacturers to lower their production, right? And but luckily, on the other hand, in developing economies such as China, India, and all the BRIC country, right? Brazil, Russia, and so on, they are expanding, more or less, particularly in China. So we can say that if the manufacturers can tap into these big markets, big expanding market, the portion of export of rubber tires or rubber products can have some market to get it. All right. Next, slow rubber product industrial standard development and also slightly enforced industrial standards. So rubber standard, particularly rubber tire industrial standard, has become an important issue because the new trends in Europe and the US that requires better quality in terms of rolling resistance, right? That's the first one. And also wet grip for the braking distance and also the noise level of the tire. This can be viewed as the requirement for the export market, right? If you cannot meet these three new standards, how can you export to such markets, right? So in Thailand, the FTI has been trying to promote this new industrial standard to the government agencies, the standard agencies, to look at it. And fortunately, after working with the government agencies for a few years, now we have pushed the new standard that will take care of the wet grip, rolling resistance, and noise, right, into the Thai standard system. And the next step is to make it compulsory, as in Europe. So there will be some steps to achieve the compulsory standard. But now the standard is out, and a lot of manufacturers will follow through this standard. What does that mean? It means that some technology on the plant, right, particularly mixing, particularly tire engineering, will have to be revised and improved. And I believe that exhibitors in this exhibition can provide some solutions for this technology that we can do to conform to these standards. However, on the other side of the standard issue, the enforcement of industrial standard in Thailand is a little bit lacking, right? But the government agency is trying to keep up with the standard enforcement, right? So we are trying to stress on this issue as well, because if you have a very good standard to be the guideline for the industrial development and manufacturing, but you don't have a good good enforcement of the standard, what would happen, do you know? There will be a big influx of cheap imports that do not conform with the industrial standard. And that's not a good thing for Thai consumers and also for the overall rubber manufacturing industries, all right? So it's not sustainable. So we are trying to keep them working on this ground. Government is attentive to rubber ecosystem. Yeah, because rubber is the political crop. Every time the rubber farmers are staging some demonstrations, right, the government is feeling the heat. And there are big bodies of rubber plantations in the south and now expanding to the northeast and to the north. So overall, Thailand, so to speak. So and rubber farmers are the political base for local politicians as well. And national government has to listen, right? Because it's the livelihood of the people in the agricultural sector. So whatever is good for the rubber industry environment has always been receiving good attention from the government. So in this sense, we are trying to push some infrastructure development for the rubber industry product. One example is that we have done successfully is the asking for the budget for the testing tracks for the new standard. Okay, for the wet grip, for the rolling resistance, for the noise, right? And these new testing tracks are under constructions right now. It's about 100 kilometers from Bangkok, right? And it will be finished in about 2 to 3 years. So after its completion, testings on these standards can be done locally. And this is a good news for not only for certification for export, but also for the research and development community in Thailand, who can have a better access and cheaper access to the testing. Because, testing is about learning from failure. When you have to do it do it and fail, and then you learn new things, right? And then you keep developing and keep improving your formulation or engineering of the tires, so that one day you can achieve the higher level of your product. So we don't have that in the past or in the current time, but we expect that to be available in a few years' time. Okay, lastly, free trade agreements remains a threat rather than opportunity from Thailand. So what do I mean by this? We are all having a free trade agreement with every country, right? Particularly in ASEAN, there are 10 countries in ASEAN. But these trade agreements open up a green light for imports to come to Thailand quite easily. And as I mentioned, the lacking of industrial standard enforcement doesn't help this either, because import can be coming in very easily. And also tariff-free, that means no import tax. And this is a threat for local manufacturers, either be a local Thai manufacturers or perhaps foreign subsidiaries who are in Thailand. They have to compete with imports that are coming from the other 9 ASEAN countries, and also including some outside of the region countries. Like we have some trade agreements with Australia, Japan, Korea. Now we're talking about some countries in Europe and also the US, but now recently after Trump took the presidency, that has been cut short. However, it seems like now import is coming in more easily. If you are the manufacturer of chemicals, you would know that, right? Because now you can import a lot of chemicals into Thailand tax-free, including from China, right? And on the other hand, for export, when we export to other countries, right, one thing that you have to keep in mind is every country is trying to protect their interest in terms of trade. And many countries are very active on this ground. So they set very high standards. They enforce their industrial standards very strictly. That means they will stop your container at the port and do some sampling of the product in the container. And if it passes the standard, right, then the container can be cleared from the customs, right? There is no such practice in Thailand, as far as my knowledge is concerned, at this time. The custom clearance in Thailand can be done by documents only, even if it's compulsory standard that require testing. But there is no need for individual testing to be done for each shipment. They can use documentations from the standard office and present it to the customs to clear the importation process. This is good for importation, but when we export, we don't have this kind of treatment, right? We always face with some restrictive import process. So this is something that you have to bear in mind. If you are operating in Thailand, this is something you have maybe experiencing. Yeah? No. Basically, in theory, yes, because we are free trade, and particularly in ASEAN, we agree that all product items, all, 100%, can be crossed the border with no tax. But in practice, we treat rubber and rice as sensitive items because it's involved with a big population of the farmers. And every time you have to apply for the permit in order to import. And every time you apply for the permit, they will turn you down. If you apply for a permit for a small amount or small quantity of rubber for testing purpose, for educational purpose, yes, you can. But if you are importing tons of rubber or rice into Thailand, they wouldn't allow you. But the deadline for ASEAN to be open for 100% with no exception of highly sensitive item is approaching. When we reach that day, we better have a better explanation to our neighboring countries why we don't allow rubber to come in. So that's a political issue. As I pointed out, it's a political crop as well. So we expect some difficulty during that time, right? But hopefully the market would be open to the free trade, and that would benefit to everyone, right? Okay, so this is the schemes that I talked about earlier. So this, I put this under challenge, right? Because this is just starting for Thailand, and this Thai labeling scheme in rolling resistance, wet grip, and noise, right? It has the label like this that you have to put on your tire, right? And the consumer will judge whether they want to buy a tire with rolling resistance grade B or A or even G. I think no one would try to buy something from in this level, right? Yeah. So in the near future in Thailand, we will implement something like this as well. After the testing tracks are finished, we expect a few years after that, we will try to push for the new standard scheme for Thailand, and at the end we will try to push it as compulsory standard as well. And this is the other examples from the other part of the world. I'm sorry, it's in Thai, but this is from Japan, so similar scheme. This is from South Korea, and this is from the United States, right? So you can see that these are new challenges, and I can tell you that it's not easy to achieve good grades on all aspects of these new standards because they are contradictory to a certain point. But again, technology can be acquired to achieve this. Okay. I think that would be all. So I hope I give you some interesting information. And again, in ASEAN, we still think that Thailand is a very good destination for rubber industry development, right? We see a lot of foreign investors coming into Thailand for rubber industry manufacturing, right? We have a very good quality workforce, right? And infrastructure is developing in the right direction as far as the world standard is concerned. So that would be all for me. And if you have any question, I will be happy to answer. All right. If not, thank you very much for your kind attention. Thank you.